Now let's get going. A purchase order function can be used in a couple different ways. It can be used with our weekly buying tools. To get there, we go to inventory, buying tools, and we have two functions that are within the weekly buying tool drop down. There's a weekly buying plan, which allows you to run a weekly buying inventory buying plan that identifies fast selling items. We use a replenish-based stock report to show what items we sold and list them by category and cost range, and then rank their performance and how they compare to our overall gross margin return on investment for our store. It's like a stock report. It will tell you whether to buy more product of that type, that segment, or to hold your positions. And lastly, there's a recovered funds redeployment guide, which shows you the best performing segments in your store by category and cost range, and gives you the ability to redeploy funds that are recovered from the sale of aged inventory into the best performing segments in your store. These tools we go over in the weekly buying tools, weekly buying plan series. Actually, I just taught that today. So if you're interested in more details on the weekly buying plan, you would just sign up for that 303 class, and we go over that in greater detail. So that's one way of accessing purchase orders and integration. The other way is with the reorder form, which is the standalone feature that's shown in the rapid reorder section in the weekly buying plan. So what happens with the reorder form, if you click on that, kind of look at the most recent settings, it's going to allow you to set this up so it runs on a weekly basis. That's how it's designed to work. And you would go in and set your sale date. I think I can find my cursor. Where is that bad boy? There it is. You would go in and select last week. We selected this date range because that's the data that I have to run this report. But for your purposes, you're going to want to select last week from the drop down. That's a rolling date. It will run that report the same way every week. It will run and look at the prior week's sales. The maximum fast selling date, we recommend 30 days. You're going to look at fast sellers or below reorder points. You would use the below reorder points if you set levels for certain item styles. For instance, these are items that you would define as never out items that you always want to have in stock and never want to be out of. An example would be half carat, 3/4 carat, quarter carat, 3/3 carat, carat total weight diamond stud earrings. You can set levels up for those when it reaches the minimum inventory level. It will show up on this report and tell you, hey, it's time to reorder those fast selling items. Sorry, not fast selling items, those items that reach that minimum order requirement. I'm just going to pull up an item that I put a level on, so you can see how that works. So, for instance, these are diamond anniversary bands. We determined that we never want to be out of stock on this carat total weight diamond band, and depending on your store, these levels will vary. But to set a level or a minimum requirement and a maximum, you hit the levels button. It's going to ask you for an ID and password. And you'll see a screen like this. And what that does is it allows you to set a minimum on-hand level and a maximum. And it allows you to save those parameters. And once you do that, this button will be illuminated in green. So when you sell an item and it gets below 4 in stock, So in this example that we're going to show you today, we got it down to 3 in stock, so it's going to ask you to reorder one more item. So once you set a level, you can just hit OK, save and close, and that will set that up. So every week when you run this, if these items, if an item that has a level on it hits a minimum requirement, it's going to alert it on the rapid reorder form. So when we run the reorder form, again, presets that I would suggest would be last week for the sale date and a fast selling threshold of 30 days. And check fast sellers and below reorder point. When you hit OK and run it, you're going to get a report that looks like this. And what this report does, it shows you all your fast selling items, and it designates the type of item that's on the report in the reason column. These are all fast selling items, and it's designated by fast. What qualifies it as a fast selling item? It's sold in 30 days or less. And if you look at the average stage of sale, you can see that in this column. First item is a minimum requirement, and that was that carrot total weight that we were talking about. I showed you. We sold one. We have 3 in stock, so it's going to ask you to order one piece. So once it identifies the items that either qualified because they were fast sellers or they were met a minimum requirement, it's going to pull up on this list. And then you have the ability to review the items. You're going to have your descriptions here of the items. You're going to have your most recent sale price, most recent cost, and the information on how fast it took to sell. And if you wanted to check them all, you would just hit that button, and all these items would be put in a purchase order queue. What that means is these items, you selected them, you say, hey, I want to reorder these. You're all going to be put in a shopping cart, and we're going to stroll over to the purchase order system in the Edge and start to create purchase orders for all these vendors. So you're going to review these and select those that you want to include. For this example, I'm not going to check them all. I'm just going to check these two, just so we can trace those down in a little more detail. I would check 3, for instance. Well, these are the items we want to put in the purchase order queue to create a purchase order. Once we hit that queue items for order button, we're going to get this verification screen. It's going to show you the quantity that you want to order, the vendor style, the category that these guys will reside on when they come in, and a description of the items. What's nice about this, we pull that information from a previous record, from a previous item that the previous time this item was in stock. So we have consistency in bringing those items into inventory. They go into the right categories, right descriptions, and with the right purchase order style, item style. Once we're good with that, we're going to hit queue items. And now those items are going to be brought over to the purchase order system. We have QA, BM, and SH. So now we're going to go over to purchase orders. So we're going to go to inventory, PO, add. Next thing you want to do is make sure the show vendors for queued items, queued orders only are checked. Because what this is going to do is limit this list to only those folks that have items in the purchase order queue. And we could choose AC. And here's the item. I'm going to select it. That's brought into the purchase order system. It's going to show you the source. It was queued. It was a queued item from the rapid reorder form. It's going to store 1, quantity, style number, the ETA, and a description of the item. It was an I-card band. It's going into diamond fashion rings, and the most recent cost was $413. With the Edge, we have two ways to submit the purchase order. We can submit it via an email by hitting the submit an email button, or to submit and print, we'll print a printed document that you can send via fax or via snail mail. Today we're going to hit the submit and print to show you what the purchase order looks like. And this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have the purchase order number, the order date, store's information, vendor's information, quantity, style code, description, ETA, and the extended cost. To complete the transaction and enter it into the ordering system, we're going to hit the OK, Save, and Close button. And now that's going to enter the item into the ordering system. That's the purchase order. That's the vendor. The date it was ordered by Tom, the owner. The ETA, status, it was ordered. It was submitted as a printed document. There's one item on the PO, and we didn't receive any or cancel any. So now that item the PO has been created and submitted and sent to the vendor. Typically, we send it via email because that's the fastest way. To enable that, you would go to the vendor and say, I would like to send you electronic purchase order via email. What's the best email address to do that for you? They're going to give you an email address. You're going to go to the vendor's record, and there's a area for a spot on the vendor record to enter in PO's email address for the vendor. Once you enter that in, you'll enable that to be sent directly to the vendor via email. Now we can also select the vendor. Hey, this is one we did today. Cool. We can select that vendor, and that's put onto the purchase order. So this is a Monday morning, and you're putting in something for this vendor, BM, this pearl stud earrings. Well, you have a yellow sticky note on your desk, and somebody said, "Hey, could you order style number XYZ?" Well, you can do that. You can add it to this by hitting add line. Notice the lines are different colors. That designates that this came off. The source is queued. That means it was queued from the rapid reorder form. There's not going to be a source here because it's a manual entry. Going to store one, and order one. I don't have a style, but I can go to the vendor's dropdown, and it's going to pick up all the styles that he has. For example, we're going to pick that style. I don't know what it is. It's hey, pearl pendant, 7mm. It goes with that set of earrings. Great. We're going to select the style. It's going to fulfill it with all the information. Here's the description, the category, and the cost. Just like that, we've created that purchase order and added a new item to it. Well, again, we're going to go to submit and print, but you know what? You got to note that let's do an inventory and pick a few more. So if you hit OK, Save, and Close, what's going to happen is it's going to enter it into the purchase order system, but it's going to enter it in the status as entered, which means that's an open PO. It hasn't been submitted. You can add to that. So the following weeks goes by and you say, let's hold it till next week. And it comes time you want to add some more items. You go and say, let's look at vendor BM. Where's that bad boy? Oh, it doesn't have an open purchase order. So we have to do that. It doesn't have anything in the queue. And now it's saying, hey, this is a purchase order already open for this vendor that has not been submitted. Would you like to load this purchase order? You can say yes. And now you have those two items. This was queued from the rep reorder. This was the one that was added manually. Notice it has a yellow color. This one has that kind of yellowy yellow color or brownish yellow. And now we're going to add a few more items that your staff has decided that they won't need it. And let's just add one more. So it's very easy to add items for a vendor to a order that has already been existed. You can enter it into the system, but yet not submit it until you're ready. Now we're ready to go. Let's hit submit and print. And now we have those 4 items. So it's just the same if you put that item in, if you wrote it in on a written PO and you wrote in the first one, then you added that second line, you put it into a file that said open PO, knowing that you're going to add to it probably next week, and then you pulled it out and added 2 more. We're doing the same thing here. Now we're ready to submit it, and that's what we just did. That's going off. And again, typically we would use the email function because it's faster. So once you're done to finish that transaction, you're going to put it in, and now the status has changed from entered to order, and now that PO has 4 items on it. And once it's in the system, you can find all orders that were created today, for instance. There we go. We have those 2 purchase orders that we just created and entered it and submitted into the system. You can also look for vendors, POs by specific vendor. We can look at by date ordered. We can look at it by ETA. We can look at just items that were ordered or just items that were entered. So you have the ability to search the status of those purchase orders in a variety of different ways so you can keep track of that, and you're doing it from this one source in the edge. So now it's time to receive the items. Getting it on inventory, PO, receive invoice. And you want to show vendors with items on order only. And there's BM, like it when something comes to play. Hit OK, and it's going to bring in those 4 items for you. You're going to check your box and say, yep, these are the 4 items that I still have outstanding. If you have 32 items and you check them and say, yes, they all did come in and there's one of them, you can hit the check all button, and that's going to bring, check that, yes, we did receive all these items. Notice that the sources are different. This is a queued item. These are items that were entered manually. That's how I get designated, because there's not a source for a manually entered purchase order. Once you're good with that, you're going to hit OK. You're going to get an allocation screen. You're going to put them all in store 1. So you're going to hit receive all. Hit OK. It's going to enter that quantity in. By default, we say it's 1. If it was 2 for that particular item, it would default to 2. Now to just receive an invoice, those items into inventory, hit OK, save and close. I always forget to put the invoice number in. And you're going to hit OK, save and close. And now those 4 items will be brought into the respective categories in the Edge. And there you are. Those categories, cost, recost, description of the items. All you need to do is click on it to take a look at it. It's pretty straightforward. There's a change in the price. You can make it here and adjust the price up or down. The key thing is that vendor style is always going to be entered the same way. There's not going to be any variation, which means you're going to get the right metrics on how style number CA64-16 is performing. It's always going to be entered in, because if it came in at CA64/16, guess what, folks? That's a different style number. So instead of showing onesies, it's going to, instead of showing them one for this way and one for that way, you're going to have a consistency and really report that you sold 2 of these. So that's how we would run that rapid reorder form. Again, go to buying tools, inventory, buying tools, reorder form. You're going to set up your presets. It's going to look at last week. It's going to look at the fast selling max day is that. It's going to collect those 2 items, including sales and minimum requirements. And it's going to identify items that sold in 30 days or less, or items that met a minimum reorder requirement. It's going to ensure that the fulfillment of those items gets done quickly and easily. If you do it once a week, it's going to be done in a methodical way. The whole idea is to keep your inventory levels consistent and bringing back those good performing items, fast selling items, and those never out items in a consistent way. So that's how we would interface the purchase order system with the rapid reorder form, or by adding it, adding a purchase order in a manual fashion. The other way that we can use purchase order integration is with our special order feature. By using special orders, we automatically queue that item up for purchase order. Now, this is loose stone. It's probably not a great example, but that shouldn't be in that category. But again, this is a demo, so sometimes the data is a little screwy. But let's run with it. Basically, you're saying let's get that style, and if it was a diamond bracelet, which probably looks like it was, you would get all the information, retail price, tax, and the deposit amount. You don't need any more information, so you can just select that. You're going to put the ETA. Let's say you're shipping it overnight. When you have all that information, again, you're going to make sure that that style number is the same. The difference between this and the queue function is that once you hit OK, save, and close, it automatically moves that item, the vendor AM, into the queued items file. So it saves you a little step, because you're at point of sale, you want it to be quick. So you hit OK, save, and close. It says, hey, this is the item. We're looking for a deposit. You're going to look at the receipt. There's all the information. Special order, it's ready by this date. Estimated tax, amount due a pickup, estimated total due. We put that in case the price has gone up slightly. Deposit. Next page is going to show the claim check. If there was an image associated, it would show here. We got all that information. Now we're going to go to PO. Add. We're going to look for AM. Lo and behold, because AM has one special order. Notice how it distinguished it from just a regular item. When you run it through the purchase order queue, the special order queue at point of sale, it designates it and segregates it as a special order. It also comes in as a different color. So when you have a list of items on a purchase order, that color does the definition is going to distinguish it between a special order and something that came off the wrapper reorder form or was manually entered into the purchase order. We also, in the source area, we designate a special order as SO. And the customer's name is associated with it. So we know when it comes in, it's going to identify that and say, hey, this should go to this customer. We hit OK. The source code is SO. I'm going to say ship it by FedEx. We're going to hit submit and print. And here's the item, our name, the vendor's name, the vendor's info, style code, the special order number, and description, and the estimated price, $1,430. We're not going to add anything to it, so we're going to hit OK, save, and close. That's going to complete the transaction. Again, this is now added to the purchase order list. PO number, vendor, date ordered, who ordered it, ETA, status, it's ordered. I printed document. There's one item. You double click on it, it shows you that purchase order. Now it's time that item from AM has come in for Mr. Cardella. We're going to go to PO, receive invoice, show vendors with items on order only. I'm going to find AM. There they are. It's going to bring it into the receive order screen. Special order, store one, vendor style, PO customer number, Peter Cardella. You're going to hit check that, say, yep, that's the one. We're going to set receive all. And we're going to hit OK, save, and close, and we're going to finish the transaction. I forgot to put the invoice in. Son of a biscuit. Now that's going to bring it into inventory. And there's going to be one big distinction. In category 190, and if we look at the stock type is going to be special order. As opposed to being stock, because it's not a stock piece, it's a special order. That distinction is important. So now we can measure how many special orders we did throughout the year. When we run our reports, we can sort our reports, our performance reports, by stock type. Whether it's inventory, which would be an owned item, special order, which is obviously a special order, and memo, it's a memo item. Those are three distinct stock types, and that has a distinct difference on how much inventory you're going to buy for your cases to fulfill your case sales. What does that mean? If you run your performance reports and you put in all three stock types, it's going to say you did $1 million in sales. And how much of that was done by case sales, special orders, and memo? We don't know. Now we run a report for special orders. We did $100,000 by special orders. Now we run it by memo. We did $200,000 by memo. Guess what? Of that $1 million, $700,000 were generated from case sales, and the rest, and the $300,000 was $100,000 was from special orders, and $200,000 was from memo. That's going to adjust the way we think about buying for our cases. If we bought for $1 million in sales, we would be overbuying for case sales performance. The result would be we'd have too much inventory because we know historically we do an additional 300,000 in sales out of special orders and memos. So we want to segregate that. And by using that special order to create a purchase order, we're going to do that automatically for you. We're going to make that stock type as a special order so you can track the performance of special orders, which means you're going to buy appropriately to fulfill those case inventory requirements, which means you're going to buy smarter and you're not going to overbuy, which is a huge thing. So that's one big advantage of using that special order function at point of sale. The other advantage is when it comes time to sell the item, it's tied to the customer. So when Mr. Cardella comes in, he would bring in his special order ticket, and we scan it, and would bring up everything automatically for us. But since we don't have a scanner, we'd have to do it the old-fashioned way. And what's going to happen is these two buttons, make payment or pick up and finish, are going to be illuminated green, which means something going on there. And if we choose make payment, we can see there's three items. One's a layaway, one's a repair, and one's special order. Here's that item we just received. We can make a payment on it by just clicking on that and hitting OK. It's going to tell you the balance is $27.40, and we could pay half of that and pick it up next week. But Mr. Cardella is anxious to get it. Here's that special order. There's a balance of $27.40. If you click that, down at the bottom it says due $27.40. It's going to pull out a big wad of cash. You're going to hit done. You want to send a review request? You can. I wouldn't, but not in this example. Let's preview the receipt. And this is what it's going to say. Mr. Cardella ordered this special order. He picked it up today. Price was $3,000. $49.50 was the tax. He had a previous payment of $750. Do a pickup was $27.40.50. He pulled out $27.40.50 and gave it to you, and you handed it over. And he was happy. Sent him a review request, and he gave you a 5-star review. Life is good. Well, the purchase order system has that integration with that rapid reorder form. It also has, go into buying tools, this reorder form has that direct integration to the purchase order queue. Also have that same integration with the reorder fast sellers and the replenish space stock report, which is part of the weekly buying tools. Again, I would suggest that you take those 300 classes. There's no charge for them right now. It's going to help you understand the total management system that we have in the edge, how they work or how they all are interconnected. But suffice to say, you have that integration with the replenish space stock as well. We can help you identify the best performing segments, but we also can show you what's sold in the last 12 months, and you can decide if you want to select any of those items for fulfillment and queue them up for the creation of a purchase order. It's all about identification of best performing segments and giving you the ability to get fulfillment into place by using a purchase order system. It's a powerful tool. It's all about having your stock levels in balance, having the products that are giving you the best performance back into the store as quickly as possible. You don't want to miss opportunities. And by using these buying tools and the integration with the purchase order system, you're going to have a more balanced, more dynamic inventory that's going to give you the best chance to sell to your customers with the products and the merchandise mix that they have told you through our reports that they want. So again, take a look at the weekly buying tools. Take a look at the 300 classes. We have a whole series next week. And, take your learning, your knowledge one step further. But anyway, purchase orders are fantastic. You all should be using them, and I think you can see the benefit of using them, and it's easy to use. And we'll send you along this recording, and that will hopefully help you to put this system into place. That's all I got for you. If you have any questions, good time to fire them off. If not, you can always email me at peter@ajsllc.com. I'm happy to answer any questions about anything we talked about. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.